I almost didn't even want to make this video because I feel like it's going to trigger a lot of people, but for that reason, I feel like it kind of has to be said because I feel like men are losing themselves in today's world. What I mean is, men are becoming feminized. We're being told to go against our nature and that our nature is bad and that it's toxic to be masculine, which that idea in and of its own is just ridiculous because we're not calling femininity toxic, so why is masculinity suddenly bad? What the hell? It doesn't make any sense. It's a double standard that is ridiculous. You see, when you really get down to it, the only thing that is toxic about masculinity is insecure men. And that has nothing to do with masculinity. That has everything to do with insecure people. There are insecure women just as much as there are insecure men. So I'd say insecurity is toxic, but I would never label masculinity or femininity across the board as being toxic. That's just stupid. The toxic aspects of them are literally just aspects of insecure people. So insecurity is toxic. That's what we should be saying. But anyway, it feels like men are losing themselves because we're kind of being conditioned by society, by the news media, and by schools, and by sometimes even our parents, and just, it's bad. Like, we're being told that our masculinity is a bad thing and that it makes us dangerous or unpredictable or chaotic. But it doesn't. Masculinity on its own isn't anything. It's not bad nor good. It's neutral. It's just masculinity. I guess what matters the most is who individual men are. And if a man is insecure, he's going to make masculinity seem toxic. But it really isn't. Because then the opposite of that would be a great man who is grounded in his masculinity. He would make his masculinity seem like a great thing, and people would look at him and say, masculinity is good. So just this whole idea that we're being told masculinity is toxic is leading men astray. It's making them feel bad for their nature, for being born a man. It's like we had no control over that. Like, why is it suddenly a bad thing? It's ludicrous. And it's literally half the population just being told they're bad. But this isn't actually my point with this video. It's more so just how societal conditioning is making men lose their way. This whole toxic masculinity thing is just one aspect of it because it's making men feel like they need to become a bit more feminine to then be considered good. But I would disagree with that. Now, I'm not saying that a man can't be, to some extent, in touch with his feminine side. What I more mean is that he shouldn't become more in touch with that side than he is with his masculine side, because then problems will arise. In fact, I feel like we're seeing a lot of problems arising today because of the fact that men are losing touch with their masculinity. Because I've seen some people use this term and it seems pretty accurate. They say that men are becoming feminized. And it does kind of seem like that. Like, men are being told to become so in tune with their feminine side that they kind of ignore their masculinity and treat it as like an afterthought. But that's not good. Because it's literally in our nature to be masculine. I mean, that's why the term exists. Men are masculine, women are feminine. It's like, there's a reason for that. It's who we are in nature. When you put us all into nature, take us out of cities and get rid of all the societal conditioning and all the lies we've been thrown or fed while growing up, men will be masculine, women will be feminine. And it'll probably be something like 90% masculine to 10% feminine, and the opposite for women. They'll be super in tune with the side of their nature. Oh, I dropped the remote. They'll be super in tune with the side of their nature that correlates to their sex. And they'll be somewhat in tune with the opposite side, but not all that much. Like, the 80-20 rule probably holds up a bit better. It's probably more like 80-20 than the 90-10 number that I threw out. So 80% masculine, 20% feminine. But that's significant because that means that men will be really in touch with their masculinity. They'll be grounded in it. Whereas right now it feels like we're kind of more, it's like men are becoming more 50-50. 50% masculine, 50% feminine. But that creates problems because now they're almost too in tune with their feminine side. And that's not what men need to be. We need to be protectors and providers. Yes, I know I'm getting into gender roles, and gender roles are the devil. I think this is also a problem, that we're being told that gender roles are these really bad things and super constricting. And what's so wrong about women wanting to be moms and men wanting to be protectors? Why is that a bad thing? What? Those gender roles have worked for centuries, if not, well, thousands of years. They've worked. Why would we suddenly go against that? It's like, I understand that, like, you can say if something's been working for a while, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best way of doing something. Sure, I get that. But the evidence, the unhappiness in the world right now, the chaos in the world right now, kind of makes me lean towards the side that gender roles probably worked and existed for a reason. And now that we're starting to cast them aside, people are becoming unhappy. I'm noticing that. That's significant. So I don't think gender roles are the devil. I do think men are meant to be protectors and providers. And I know there probably are some men out there who will hear me say that and go, I don't like that, because that's putting a lot of accountability and responsibility on their shoulders. I mean, really, being the protectors and providers, that means they have to be able to, one, have enough income to support their family, but two, it means they need to be capable of protecting their family, having enough physical strength to protect them if need be, or just knowing how to use devices that will allow them to protect their family. And I won't get into what those are, because yet again, that will also trigger people. But anyway, there is a reason why things have worked up until now. And now that we're kind of trying to just cast all these things aside because people are getting offended, they're too in their feelings, it's creating problems. And men are just losing touch with who they are. Men should be masculine. They should be grounded in their masculinity. They should work on their insecurities so that they aren't an insecure man. Remember how I said insecurity is a toxic thing? It is. Masculinity isn't the problem here. It's insecurity. Masculine men who aren't insecure are not going to be toxic, so don't tell me masculinity is inherently toxic. That is BS, and if you believe that crap, I hope this video will change your mind, and if it doesn't, then you need to freaking practice your critical thinking skills, because you are being lied to and you're just believing that crap. But anyway, you can tell I'm passionate about this, because it just sucks watching men just become weaker over time. Like, have you heard that saying that, what is it? Weak men create bad times create strong men create good times create weak men, and then the cycle repeats. Weak men will then create bad times, and yada yada yada. I feel like right now, because we're kind of attacking masculinity in men, we're making men become weaker, and it's an issue. It's going to create so many problems. I mean, what's going on in Afghanistan right now with the Taliban, that is a result of men becoming weaker. Our leadership right now, weak. So we're already starting to see the consequences of feminizing men, and it's not good. By the way, I'm not saying that femininity is a bad thing or that it makes men weak. What I mean is that men need to be in touch with their masculine side, and when they lose touch of that, they become weak. So it's not directly a result of femininity being equivalent to weakness. No, so do not misinterpret me. Don't think that that's what I'm saying. If you leave a comment saying that I'm misogynist or sexist or whatever the hell, I'm just going to ignore it, because I'm going to know that you lack critical thinking and you just are hearing what you want to hear as opposed to listening to what I'm actually saying. But that aside, men need to be in tune with their masculinity. That's when they're the best as leaders. If we have weak men in leadership positions, they make horrible decisions, and it just steers all of us in a bad direction. And I feel like we're going to be seeing a lot more consequences going forward of men having been weakened over time, and it's not going to be good. So to any man listening to this video right now, please strive to be masculine. Don't let the world tell you that being masculine is a bad thing. That is bullshit. They are feeding you a bunch of lies. I don't even know why. Maybe there's some hidden agenda. Who the hell knows? It's getting into conspiracy theories, but there may even be some hidden agenda to weaken men, because it does make it easier for a government to subvert the population. It does. I mean, men are the fighters, right? They're the protectors. So if you weaken them, you can take over a country without firing a single shot. Holy crap. I just said that and I just realized that's exactly what happened in Afghanistan. There you go. There's evidence that this happens, okay? When you weaken men, it is not good. We're meant to be the protectors. But I'll end the video here. My whole point is just that guys, we need to strive to be masculine. Just make sure you strive to be grounded in it as well. Don't be a jerk. That is not what masculinity is. That's insecurity masquerading as masculinity, but they're different things. Strive to be secure in yourself and grounded in your masculinity. That also means being in touch with your emotions, not ignoring them. If you ignore your emotions, you're not being masculine. So be in tune with them. So feel your emotions. Just don't act on them. That's what masculinity is. Everybody thinks that masculinity is all about ignoring your emotions and acting stoic. No, that is not true at all. Being masculine is about feeling your emotions, but being man enough to not act on them, to not let them control you and dictate your actions. That's the difference there. But anyway, I'll step off my soapbox and I feel like this video is going to trigger a lot of people, but hopefully you understood my point here and I didn't inflame your emotions, but if I did, oh well, deal with it. I just don't have the patience for that right now. I just feel like this had to be said, and I'm going to say it even if it leads to me potentially pissing people off, but hopefully that didn't happen, because I mean, I know my audience pretty well by this point, and my audience, they're a bunch of badasses, so I don't think this will trigger any of them, but it may trigger some people who just randomly stumble upon it. But if it does, who cares? People needed to hear this, or at least I needed to get it off my chest. So if you like this video, if you somehow found my rambling interesting, then please like, comment, and share, and I will see you guys in the next video that won't be nearly as triggering. Anyway, arrivederci.